DEI.
It's in the game.
The feed is blaming everything from Chappelle Roan to the menswear guy. Holy shit. I should write a piece saying the Democrats lost the election because of Dragon Age Veilguard, just to match everyone's crazy. So sad. Very sad. Very, very sad.
There's never been anybody bad like you.
BioWare!
You're fired. Get the hell out of here. Get out of here.
Well, hold on, guys. Hear me out. Let the man, cook, as the Gen Z would say.
That is like totally some serious goy slop.
Because as meme-worthy as that tweet is, Gene ain't entirely wrong now, is he? I think he may be onto something here. I mean, it's no coincidence what's going on around the world, is it? 1 minute Trump wins, the next minute Alyssa Mercante is kicked out of Kotaku, and then her thirst trap boy Hassan Piker is banned from Reddit, and Bono is set to drive his car off a cliff any minute now. Any minute. Hello? Well, the only one who took a dive was Edge when he fell off the stage, him and his mid-ass guitar riffs. Rumor is Bono has still not found what he's looking for, while the Edge has. It's called the floor. We can all basically agree it's blatantly obvious who gamers voted for and who journalists and game developers voted for. Don't worry, I'm not going to hammer you over the head about politics this entire video. That's what my second channel is for. If you want uncensored, unfiltered political rants from a Mexican, subscribe to Fertanga Griffs. I got some new stuff uploading very soon, and believe me, it's gonna be the greatest. It's gonna be the best. No one else has ever had videos as great as these ones. The longest, the bestest. And also, tune into It's a Gundam's channel. I was live with him the other day, where we got to talk in depth about Dragon Age and how horrendous it is, and how it inspired me to create this
Amazing.
banger of a meme video that's actually taking off. Thank you for all that support. I don't deserve it, but I will work as hard as I can to provide you the memes. Let me tell you, sentiment for Dragon Age was disingenuous. Not from our crowd, of course, but from the many gaming journalists and reviewers, and let's not forget the 50% of industry plants who were so sure it was deserving of a nomination for Game of the Year. And I fully expect for it to show up at that award show and receive an award for something it did not excel at, because let me tell you, from the hours I've been playing of this game, unfortunately, because like I said, I'm playing it so you don't have to, there is not a single thing Dragon Age Veilguard excels at. Nothing. And yet that didn't stop reviewers from scoring it like it was hitting all the beats. You know, without a shadow of a doubt, a lot of it is based entirely off how hard the game pushes its politics. Far too many reviewers who just so happen to be non-binary or trans or gay all felt represented, and it was even included in the reviews on how that was a highlight, when in my personal opinion, the politics a video game is pushing on you are the least important aspect, and yet it's put front and center for this crowd because EA knew what they were doing. They knew the current BioWare they have does not have what it takes to produce another masterpiece like the Mass Effect trilogy or Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. Like other studios, they relied on the cheap tactics of inserting identity politics, something that, well, quite frankly, works quite well on people from broken homes. Only those who actually buy into identity politics and vehemently despises those that oppose it are who this target demographic is for. For instance, the British kid. If you're wondering what my thoughts on Veilguard are after almost 40 hours, then I summed it up pretty well below. Dragon Age had a love child with Guardians of the Galaxy plus Godfall. Honestly, love it so far.
I don't believe you.
This is brain dead. Frit, is that what having no integrity looks like? Without a culture war to fuel defense for this game, I highly doubt we would be seeing mischief here. standing up for it. Had it been any other game without the controversy surrounding it with identity politics, I think he would definitely be trashing the crap out of it. I mean, Godfall? Who fondly remembers Godfall? Who played Godfall, actually? Quite an interesting perspective. Now, everyone's entitled to their own opinions, including Mischief, but it is indeed raising an eyebrow. All the people that I, watched reviews of who were highly critical of the smallest things in those games are overlooking everything in Dragon Age, and we know why. Pronouns, trans identity, pro-feminist writing, inclusivity, diversity. Well, Frit, you're assuming far too much, all right? Perhaps you're operating in bad faith and these people are being entirely honest. I mean, come on. Yeah, the game doesn't look the best. Yeah, the gameplay is shallow. Yeah, the pacing is trash. Yeah, the music is forgettable. But perhaps you're just not seeing what they're seeing. Maybe you're right. But then Jason Schreier, the man who looks like he buys feet pics, decided to come out and say this.
Go woke, go bro, actually, top of the charts.
There's no way you can genuinely like this turd.
I actually don't like the game very much, but I do like seeing you chuds get dunked on.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Absolutely no shame. Again, what did I tell you? The only support this game is receiving is support from a crowd that despises you. The type of gamer that doesn't buy into this nonsense. The hell is this 40-plus-year-old man doing using terms like chud? Go home to your wife. The hell are you doing? By the way, he actually deleted that tweet. Yeah, of course he would. Why wouldn't he? That was the dumbest thing to tweet out. Being the top of the Steam charts does not mean you're going to be a successful game long term. Everyone knows this. Well, anyone who plays on PC anyway. As we speak, the game only ever peaked at 89,000 players, and since then has dropped to practically being dead for a AAA game, which is why he deleted it. Because my prediction came true. No, actually it didn't. I predicted the game would plateau. It didn't do that. It had a sharp decline. It fell off. But it's like I said, if you're wondering why there's even any sort of positive reviews from critics, now you know. Those reviews were all entirely biased. Is it any coincidence to you that instead of accurately reporting on the quality of the product, all these journalists are instead trying to draw your attention to the Metacritic review bombing going on by users? Yeah, that's the real problem here. Not how god-awful, how undercooked and embarrassing of a product this is for BioWare and EA. No, it's the gamers who have spoken their mind, the ones who didn't need to see more than 5 minutes to know what they were going to get involved with. And good on them. That is why content creators like me have a purpose on this platform. It's our job to ensure you never have to touch this drizzling shit. Here's the thing, it really shouldn't be my job. That's the job of journalists.
The Dragon Age review controversy shows how much YouTube and Twitter have poisoned video game discourse. The more you enable these people structurally or systematically, the more footing they gain until they become a default. These days, when a big new game comes out, you can pretty much roll the dice on what kind of reactionary controversy it will produce. Are we looking at a moral panic over trans characters? Diversity consulting? Games journalists being too positive? Games journalists being too negative? Some other quibble that will be forgotten in a week, interchangeably swapped out like grains of sand dragged away by the unrelenting tide. Anyway, the usual suspects got mad about Dragon Age. The Veilguard reviews this week.
Doesn't it ever occur to this crowd why that may be? All people really have to do is take one look at a video game to know if it's that derivative these days or not. People are craving for something new, and Dragon Age doesn't provide a single new thing to the role-playing world. It's a far cry from the BioWare we once knew, but most importantly, it completely breaks all the rules of role-playing. On top of that, it's got very shallow, very unengaging combat, puzzles that you literally only have to walk less than 5 feet to figure out, and character customization and visuals that are easily far too outdated. We're not looking at a premium product here. You know, people can go and just look at Let's Plays and ultimately decide if they're gonna buy a game that way these days. And people took a look and they said, that ain't worth my time. All while these reviewers shamelessly glaze over the game for its identity politics and then give it a high review score while also being a self-identifying person. And we're supposed to look the other way and act like that didn't just happen? Like that's not entirely disingenuous? I mean, you're a gaming journalist. I expect it from you.
This week. You can listen to this week's episode of Aftermath Hours for a full rundown of why, but the whole thing is illustrative of a larger, more important issue. Thanks to algorithmic prioritization on sites like YouTube and Twitter, this is how a growing number of people engage with video games. Plenty of normal people still manage to tune it out the hours-long rants and conspiracy theories. But at what point does this rancid flavor of brain rot go from a vocal niche to a borderline mainstream position? And what are the long-term consequences of that?
Well, you know, it's quite simple. The long-term consequences are the gaming media loses influence. And that is really what's concerning them. Let's be real. Journalists have done a piss poor job of criticism and reviewing that any single time they post an article, it's practically become an internet-wide spectacle. Even people who don't engage in culture wars find it nearly impossible to not want to at least take a peek and talk about it because it's that god-awful. A complete disconnect from the gaming community and the legacy media. The reason why it blows up on YouTube and why people naturally gravitate towards it is because they find themselves unable to relate to what you're writing down and what you're developing and producing. I've said it time and time again. The vast majority of gamers are not part of the LGBT community. So when character arcs, when entire story segments revolve around it, you're going to get less sales. You're going to get people annoyed because it's creatively bankrupt. It's all over the place. It's not unique. It's not special. And it's lost all meaning. For those that could sympathize and understand you at one point, they're now losing their marbles over having to see segments like the pronoun discussion at the dinner table in Dragon Age, comical stuff. We're looking at developers trauma dumping their own experiences into video games. When the characters become a self-reflection, a self-insert of the writers to that degree, you're not creating a fantasy character anymore. You're jotting down somebody else's experience versus creating one that doesn't exist. Because when you're forced to actually come up with something unique for once, it breeds creativity. And none of the people that they're hiring have any of it. The biggest mistake the gaming industry made was thinking that the Asian dudes programming video games had to go. Bring them back, please. They knew what they were doing. If I have to see another goddamn UI like the one I'm seeing in Dragon Age, I might commit a felony. I'm out of my mind. It is that tiresome. You cannot continue to live up to a stereotype and then present yourself with a Pikachu face wondering what's going on. If game developers really have that much lack of self-awareness, then we got a big problem on our hands. It's exposing so much because the journalists that come to the defense of these developers and these games, you know they only do so because of some established relationship behind the scenes. Journalists and devs are friends. They vote for the same people. They believe the same things. They transition to the same gender. Why? I don't know. One day we'll find out why the industry pulled off such a mass hiring of these types of people. History ain't gonna be kind on it, and it really says something when, goddamn, I ain't saying Trump or politicians are gonna save our video games. Far from it. If anything, those dudes will probably try and pin mass shootings on video games again. But if this issue reaches bigger voices, then perhaps we can get another billionaire to come in and buy out the entire gaming media. IGN purchasing all of those outlets has done nothing but bring more misinformation, blatant bias takes, and shameless shilling. A game like Dragon Age Veilguard should by no means be getting the scores it is. It's a complete insult to any other developer who has produced content that's infinitely superior to it and has received a lower score. Journalists want to elevate these types of games because, like I said, they believe in it. They want to be pandered to, and it shows in all of the reviews. There ain't no way they would have had mercy on this game if it was about straight men. And the fact that we're all very much aware of that is a problem. You know, maybe this will get me in trouble for saying it, but BioWare may have just single-handedly crafted the most annoyingly realistic depiction of a non-binary person through the character Tash, whatever her name is. This character is flat out unlikable, an accurate depiction of the current day culture and how angsty this generation has been, demanding tolerance and giving none of it in return. Why they always choose to represent the most unlikable, annoying voices in our current day culture is beyond me. Well, no, I lie. I know why. Because the development team was full of, the T people and the rest of the letters that go into LGBT. People always want to say, oh, that's a very bigoted thing to say, Frit, but it's not. It's just an obvious observation. It's guaranteed if you hire someone with that mentality, they are going to try their absolute hardest to depict it through video games and in their writing. I'm getting absolutely fed up with the gaslighting going around. People trying their absolute hardest to stick up for a product that they are not even playing anymore. The game is dead. And this is leading to concerns involving the next Mass Effect. Because Mass Effect writer Casey Alexander, who wrote the tie-in book Mass Effect Andromeda Nexus Uprising, is not handling the new President Donald Trump won the election for President of the United States very well. On Blue Sky, Alexander wrote, have reached the point in this game where the first night shrieks and Saber is no longer acceptable. Tomorrow is a new day, but to get there, it's quill time. Unsponsored, this shit. I'm emotionally unavailable for the next 5 hours. Sleep aid of choice. And then went on to write, I am trying hard to restrain the vicious need to lash out at other people. I am too furious, too spiteful, too exhausted, too flattened, too scared. And yet I am incandescent with a rage that has only this damaged body and mind to house it. Ah, don't you love it? This woke crowd is always so poetic, so descriptive with the way that they write out their tweets. Yet none of that fancy, college-educated writing courses has been able to help them produce anything meaningful or of substance. Everything they write just fails. This is concerning. I mean, we all know the next Mass Effect is already cooked. There's no hope for it, and this is just solidifying it for me. Avoid the next Mass Effect. Do not give BioWare money. Enough is enough. I mean, there's so many more people out there defending this crap that in time, they're most likely going to regret. People tried celebrating as if the game succeeded and contradicted what we said about going woke and broke, but it didn't. It turned out exactly like we said it would, and they're in denial about that. They want so desperately for their beliefs to succeed in media, but it never will, because you cannot beat someone over the head with a message that much and expect them to get up and accept it after the 100th time you wailed them with it. Trump winning does have a net negative, and hear me out. That negative being that the rage that's going to come from the gaming media is going to be even more unfiltered and ruthless. Every single journalist is going to involve Trump one way or another as something to complain about or preach against in their reviews. Unless it's Alyssa, of course, because her ass is fired. But I mean, whatever. If they want to give YouTubers like us more content and then complain and question why these videos blow up, then I'm all for it. Let them continue soul searching for the reason as we continue to grow and succeed and expose all of this hypocrisy and bias, because it has no place in an industry that's supposed to be professional. If you want to make YouTube videos or vlogs about it, go ahead. But if you want to write entire reviews and then you can't shut up about Trump in your review and it causes you to spurg out, then you're probably not fit to be a journalist. BioWare has failed as a developer. They don't deserve your money. They don't deserve your praise. And they don't deserve to stay operating. Either reform the studio or just shut them down and put us out of our misery and their misery. Please, EA. With that being said, like, comment, share, and subscribe if you so choose to. To hell with it. I'm out of here.
Free Congo sucks ass.